So if you've watched any of my videos, you'll probably know that I'm an AFC Bournemouth supporter. So in this video, I thought I'd explain why, because it's still a frequent question I get asked. But first, we've got to go back to the beginning.
Edge of the area. A steps up, strikes it, buries it. Right, verted. Bottom corner.
So ever since I was young, I've been interested in football, and this is mainly because of my dad, who has appeared in many of my videos. On the night I was born, England beat Germany 5-1, and I even had a signed shirt that was made for that game behind me. Actually, I already have a signed Michael Owen FIFA card as well. Basically, I'm a massive fan of Michael Owen.
3 goals from Michael Owen, and they lead Germany, in Germany, by 4 goals to 1.
So at this point, Bournemouth were like a mid-table League 2 side, and the idea of the Premier League was just unimaginable. My dad bought me numerous Bournemouth tops and took me to my first game when I think I was 5, and I ended up clapping for the opposition team. So I kept going to Bournemouth games, and for my 10th birthday, I was a mascot against Chesterfield. This was like an insane experience, and I got to go into the dressing room, meet all the players, got to meet my favourite player, Steve Fletcher, and I got a picture with him, and I'm determined to at some point meet him again and recreate that photo. I walked out with defender Sean Cooper, but it turns out we lost that game 3-0, but there you go. I also got a signed Bournemouth ball on that same day, I think, and I'm not actually sure where that is. Let me go and find it. I believe the ball is in the shed, I'm not sure. Let me see if I can find it. No, there's a golf tee. Is it that? No, that's not the signed ball. Where's the signed ball? Oh, it is there. It's here. We've got a few signatures on there. We've got Cherry Bear's signature. So there you go. Legitimate signature. So growing up outside of Bournemouth, there were literally no Bournemouth fans at my school. All my mates were fans of like Premier League teams, so I didn't really have anyone to talk to about Bournemouth, apart from my dad. Actually, no, that's not true. My basketball coach was also a Bournemouth fan, called Keith, so shout out Keith. Bournemouth started climbing the divisions. We got promoted to the Championship, which just seemed ridiculous.
Francis on the right-hand side, and Francis tries to play in Pittman. Pittman's touch is good enough to find Pugh. Pugh with a little step. Pittman with a shot! Pittman gets the goal for puts the Cherries on the brink of promotion and keeps his fabulous run going. Cherries 3, Carlisle 1.
And then the unimaginable happened, and AFC Bournemouth got promoted to the Premier League. Asking my dad when we were like in League 2, League 1, what would we do if we got promoted to the Premier League? Like, it didn't seem like it was a possibility back then at all. So when we got to the Premier League, this is when I started uploading Bournemouth game vlogs to my channel.
Yes! Come on! Oh my god! Oh, Benny! Oh, Benny! Oh my days! 3-0!
Being in the Premier League as a Bournemouth fan was just surreal, and I went to loads of games, both home and away. Most memorable game for me would probably be the 2-1 win against Manchester United, which I actually vlogged. But all good things come to an end, and last season we were relegated from the Premier League.
Aston Villa survive, and Bournemouth's 5-year stay in the Premier League is over.
We're going to start with Bournemouth. Already relegated from the Premier League, of course. They'll be in the Championship next season, and they have begun a search for a new manager for the first time since back in 2012. That's because Eddie Howe has left by mutual consent. Happened late last night, and it's ended a remarkable era for the club, which has seen them rise up through the divisions, spend 5 seasons in the Premier League.
This was the first time Bournemouth had been relegated in my lifetime, and it was hard to take. However, we've been through a lot worse than this over the years. My dad, who got me into loving and supporting Bournemouth, has seen the club go through a lot.
McDougall! What a classic diving header!
So my earliest memories of AFC Bournemouth, I was born in Bournemouth and grew up locally, and when I was a primary school kid in the 1970s, we used to get a lift, a mate of mine from school and me, down to Kings Park where the stadium is, and we'd run across Kings Park and go in the ground on our own actually, which is quite amazing to think of now. And then we had to have another 10p with us to rent a cushion to sit on because the ground just had boards. Yeah, and yeah, watched that team in the 70s that were in that third flight, I think, of English football at the time. Yeah, so here's some of the Bournemouth stuff I've kept over the years, shirts and programmes. If we go over here, these are the earliest programmes I've kept. I'm not quite sure which is the oldest one, but they're around the 80s. Actually, what's the date on that one? Yeah, that's from 1980, the Harry Stace testimonial. Ted McDougall was still playing then. Yeah, so these are sort of typical 80s programme. There's Tommy Heffernan. Yeah, so moving on to the 80s, I was still watching Bournemouth regularly as I was a teenager by this time, and I was playing football myself locally in the Bournemouth Youth Football League. Yeah, we used to go along to the Easter soccer schools they used to have, and yeah, that was when Harry Redknapp was the manager as well, in the late 80s and early 90s, and Jamie Redknapp would come over to the soccer school sometime and join in with us. I met him actually at the FIFA 20 launch recently and reminded him of it, and he did remember, which was nice. Yeah, shirts. I think I must have had shirts as a boy, but this is the first one I kept, which was probably the first adult one I had from 1990, and then various ones. Then we got moving into the 90s around here, and I'm starting to go to away games here in Fulham. It's a playoff final programme. What a great day that was. So in the 90s, I was away at university in the early 90s, and that's when the financial trouble really started, and at one point there was a community trust fund and I put some money into that, so I can say that I was part owner of the club at one point. But things looked desperate often. We got really close to the edge, and it wasn't really until Eddie Mitchell brought Max Denham in that we looked like we might be a financially stable club again. Yeah, and then into more modern, more recent ones where I've started to watch go-aways in Notts County, Chesterfield, before we gained promotion to the Premier League. Yeah, so when I look back, actually, to the watching Bournemouth through the 70s, the 80s and the 90s, my aspiration really for a long time for Bournemouth has been that they existed as a football club, that there was an AFC Bournemouth for me to go and watch, because that seemed to be in severe doubt on at least 2 occasions, and that was what I wanted, that I could go and watch AFC Bournemouth play. So the rise from -17 all the way up to the Premier League, just amazing, completely beyond my wildest dreams, like I think a lot of Bournemouth fans. Yes, we've been relegated this season from the Premier League. We didn't play well a lot of that time, had many chances to avoid it, but even after the players I think we have sold and will need to sell, I'm really excited about the squad we have, and going into this 2021 season, I'm actually really looking forward to seeing a young squad playing some great football, and I hope Jason turns out to be a truly great manager for us. Alright, so here it is, the 90 shirt, which I managed to get paint on, which is pretty disappointing. But yeah, it still fits.
So apparently this was the kit that I was, we had when I was born. And it's a little bit worn, but and it's a large, so it probably won't fit me, but I want to try it on. Why are the sleeves so massive? This is not normal for a large to be this massive.
I think I bought it big so I could wear it over a hoodie or a sweatshirt.
Alright, fair enough.